The death of Christine da Serra, a young Filipina flight attendant, continues to be a subject of public intrigue and controversy. She was found dead on the morning of January 1st, 2021, at the City Garden Grand Hotel in Makati in the Philippines. The picture you're looking at right now was captured from the hotel security cameras in the hours before her passing. Her case has sparked heated debates over the investigation's direction, the handling of forensic evidence, and the conflicting narratives regarding her cause of death. Christine was 23 years old when she checked into the City Garden Grand Hotel on New Year's Eve 2020. She had asked her mother for permission to join a celebration with her co-workers, a decision that would soon turn tragic. After spending several hours at the hotel, Christine was taken to Makati Medical Center early on January 1st, 2021, where she was declared dead on arrival. Surveillance footage captured moments from her final hours, showing her in the company of several friends and acquaintances in the hotel lobby and corridors. Shortly after noon, her body was discovered in the bathtub of room 2207, with noticeable bruises and signs of possible physical abuse. Initial police reports described the case as an SA slaying, leading to charges against 11 men who were present at the hotel party. According to early statements, there were strong indications that Christine had been assaulted, including reports of bruises, lacerations, and biological material recovered. However, the subsequent autopsy, conducted by Police Major Michael Nick Sarmiento, revealed that Christine da Serra died from a ruptured aortic aneurysm, a natural cause of death. The autopsy noted lacerations on her thighs, contusions on her knees, and scratches, which complicated the picture. These physical findings raised questions about whether the injuries resulted from an altercation or were incidental to her underlying condition. The conflicting evidence in the initial autopsy and the family's own doubts spurred a second autopsy, the details of which remain confidential. The case quickly evolved into a battle of competing narratives. On one side, the Philippine National Police maintained that Christine's death was natural, citing the autopsy report that pointed to an aortic aneurysm as the cause of death. On the other side, the family and several critics argued that the physical evidence pointed to possible foul play. Furthermore, the way in which the investigation was conducted has also drawn considerable criticism. The PNP's decision to initially label the case as solved after identifying a group of suspects, who were later released due to insufficient evidence, has been widely denounced as premature. Critics argue that the rush to judgment not only tarnished the reputations of the individuals involved, but also left unanswered questions regarding the proper handling of forensic evidence. In particular, the decision to embalm Christine's body before a comprehensive forensic examination has been heavily criticized. They note that this may have compromised the collection of crucial biological evidence. What actually happened to Christine still remains a mystery, with her haunting last image revealing little about what actually happened to her that fateful night. Andrew Macaulay was an Australian mountaineer and sea kayaker born on the 7th of August 1968 in Goulburn, New South Wales. From an early age, he was drawn to adventure. He and his brother spent their childhood climbing trees, swimming in dangerous waters, and even diving off cliffs. As an adult, Andrew traveled widely and pushed the limits of physical endurance. He made a name for himself with daring feats, such as the first nonstop crossing of the Bass Strait in 2003 and a week-long solo journey across the Gulf of Carpentaria. His many accomplishments led the Australian Geographic Society to name him Adventurer of the Year in 2005. This honor cemented his reputation as a major league player in the world of extreme sports. Andrew set his sights on a challenge that had never been successfully completed: crossing the 1,600-kilometer Tasman Sea from Australia to New Zealand by solo kayak. The Tasman Sea is notorious for its turbulent conditions and unpredictable weather. His first attempt in December 2006 was cut short when freezing temperatures and hypothermia forced him to abandon the journey. Undeterred, Andrew modified his equipment and set off again in January 2007 with renewed determination and improved insulation to keep him warm during the long, cold nights at sea. His vessel was a 19-foot Mirage kayak, which he had adapted for sleeping in its cockpit. One of the most unusual features of his craft was a fiberglass canopy, affectionately nicknamed Casper. This cover was designed to seal the cockpit and provide self-righting capability during storms. Andrew had a reputation for meticulous planning and had spent years perfecting his techniques. As Andrew neared the final stretch of his journey, the conditions grew increasingly dangerous. Approximately a month into his second attempt, he managed to send a message stating, "See you 9 a.m. Sunday," to his wife, Vicky, who along with his young son eagerly awaited his return. However, soon after this seemingly hopeful note, a distress call was received by the New Zealand Coast Guard. The garbled radio message contained the words, "Help" and "sinking," indicating that Andrew was in serious trouble. Search teams scoured the waters near Milford Sound, and investigators eventually recovered his upturned kayak. Curiously, the boat was found in near-perfect condition, with all of his gear, including his paddle, GPS, and emergency radio, still inside. Notably, the memory stick on his camera was intact, and the picture you're looking at now was the last photograph he took of himself. It's unknown whether he knew at this point that he wouldn't be coming back and seeing his wife and child again, though the look on his face makes me think he knew what was coming. There was, of course, no sign of Andrew himself, nor would there ever be. The fact that his vessel was intact, aside from minor cosmetic damage, deepened the mystery of how an experienced adventurer could vanish so completely. Several theories have emerged to explain what might have led to Andrew Macaulay's tragic end. One prevailing idea is that during a severe storm, his kayak capsized while the cockpit cover was not securely in place. Without the cover properly sealing the cockpit, water could have flooded the space, making it nearly impossible for him to re-enter the kayak. Expert testimony from the boat's designer supports this theory. He suggested that the weight of the equipment stored inside the vessel could have further complicated the self-rescue maneuver, leaving Andrew unable to right his kayak after it capsized. Another theory points to the possibility of a rogue wave. The Tasman Sea is known for its powerful and unpredictable waves that can come out of nowhere. Veteran sailor Jonathan Borges, who provided weather predictions for the expedition, noted that even on a good day, waves 2 to 3 meters high are common in that region. He expressed his belief that a rogue wave might have struck Andrew, forcibly separating him from his kayak during a critical moment. In addition, official inquest reports and expert analyses have highlighted several potential flaws in the safety equipment and communication methods Andrew used. For example, his emergency position indicating radio beacon was not activated at the critical moment. Some experts believe that if it had been properly deployed, rescue efforts might have been initiated much earlier. Hey everyone, it's Jimmy here with a reminder to hit that subscribe button and share this video with 2 people you know. You guys sharing my videos has helped my channel grow so much lately, so I just want to take a quick moment to say thanks. Regina Walters was a 14-year-old girl whose life was cut short by one of America's most notorious serial perpetrators. And though I generally don't do this, I'm going to issue a warning before going any further in this section, because this case is truly horrific. Regina was born on May 5th, 1975 in Pasadena, Texas. In February 1990, Regina made the fateful decision to run away from home. Accompanied by her 18-year-old boyfriend, Ricky Lee Jones, she hoped to start a new life far from the constraints of her troubled past. On February 3rd, 1990, the couple set out on a hitchhiking journey, aiming to reach Mexico in search of freedom and adventure. Unfortunately, their plans soon took a dark and deadly turn when they encountered a man who would forever change their lives. As the young couple sought a ride, they were picked up by Robert Ben Rhodes, a long-haul truck driver who later became known as the Truck Stop Killer. Rhodes had a reputation for preying on hitchhikers and vulnerable individuals, and he used his job to facilitate his criminal activities. Shortly after picking up the couple, Rhodes ended Ricky Lee Jones. His body was found later in a remote area of Texas, leaving little hope for Regina. Regina, on the other hand, was not immediately slain by this monster. Instead, she was taken aboard Rhodes's truck, which had been converted into a mobile prison. For several weeks, Regina endured unspeakable abuse. Rhodes subjected her to repeated torture, a process that was documented in disturbing photographs later recovered from his home. These photos, which showed Regina in various states of distress, later played a crucial role in linking her to Rhodes and providing evidence of the brutality of her ordeal. One of the most unsettling aspects of the case was the chilling photograph that captured Regina's terrified moments before her death. After weeks of abuse, Rhodes ended Regina via a particularly cruel method of strangulation, which I'm not going to detail here. His method of strangulation, coupled with the deliberate removal of her clothing and the cutting of her hair, formed a signature that investigators later used to link the crime to Rhodes. The evidence extended beyond the physical remains and photographs. Rhodes made a series of taunting phone calls to Regina's family, further deepening the horror of the case. In one call, he informed her father that he had cut her hair, a detail that corroborated the physical evidence found at the crime scene. These calls not only served to torment the grieving family, but also demonstrated the cold-blooded nature of the perpetrator. His willingness to communicate with the victim's family added an extra layer of cruelty to an already heinous crime. But let's step back for a moment and look at the perpetrator. Born in 1945 in Council Bluffs, Iowa, he had a long history of criminal behavior that escalated over time. After a troubled early life and a dishonorable discharge from the Marines, Rhodes eventually found work as a truck driver. This career allowed him to cover vast distances across the country, which in turn enabled him to carry out his crimes in multiple states. His modus operandi involved picking up women along highways and remote truck stops, where he could isolate them and commit his atrocities without drawing attention. Rhodes was known to have abused, tortured, and slain several victims over a span of 15 years. The case of Regina Walters became one of the most infamous incidents linked to him. After his arrest, Rhodes was charged with the first-degree slaying of Regina and later convicted in 1994. His sentencing to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole ensured that he would spend the rest of his life behind bars. Despite his confession to several other horrific acts, authorities have never fully determined the exact number of his victims.